Welcome everybody. I'm Gold Leader. I'm here with Patronus, and we are playing Harry Potter.
That's right. We have come up with a great alliteration for our Monday night Harry Potter evenings. It is Magical Mondays.
Yeah, and somebody gave it to us. We actually didn't come up with it ourselves.
Yeah, someone came up with Magic Monday, but I thought...
they actually said Magical Monday.
Oh, did they? Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was Magic Monday, and then I was like, let's do Magical, because
that was my,
Magic is another game.
That was my typo.
Oh, well then, you and I are whoever it was, are on the same wavelength.
Yeah, you guys were definitely on the same wavelength.
Yeah. So tonight we are going to play a Draco Malfoy Slytherin deck, which is kind of like, I think you said the goal is to just play a whole bunch of items and deal damage based on the number of items you control. That's essentially the goal, right?
It's different, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll cover it, and then we're playing a combo deck.
Okay, and then Seamus Finnigan is a combo deck. So
which I have not played before, and apparently it's kind of a newer thing. So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, so this is match 2 of our new bracket. We're on the right side at the top of that bracket.
Yeah. So it should be the 5 seed and the 15 seed, I believe, is what's being matched up here.
I mean, technically, there's no ranking in the first 15, but yeah, sure. Let's go with that.
I see. Well, when you fill out the bracket.
Okay.
I assign them randomly. I just had to assign them a number.
Got it.
So I signed them 1 through 16.
Got it. Just randomly. Got it. All right. So we'll get going here. I'm going to play the Draco deck.
Am I missing
your character? I see a different color sleeve. So
Seamus
I'm guessing
Finnigan.
it's that. There you go.
All right.
So Draco.
And you might ask why we're not using foils. I've actually took out some of the foils in our decks and replace them with the proxies that you made, because they're just so hard to see.
Yeah, they're very hard to
camera.
read. Yeah. So Draco, once during each of your turns, when you use an action to play an item card, you get 1 more action that turn. So it makes sense that he's going to be all about the items.
Yep, that's the wizard that won the previous Triwizard champion.
Mm-hmm. But this deck is very different from
so there's actually 2 Draco Slytherin decks in our top 16 this time. One is like the update on the traditional one that won the last one.
Vaughn, that's the thing. Yeah, it's not his Draco deck.
Wait, what?
Vaughn says, "What a gentleman giving up your precious Draco items deck."
Vaughn, it was pretty hard. Okay, I really wanted, but I knew she wasn't gonna like playing this deck, so I gave her the Draco deck.
But again, this is very different from the deck that he played before. So...
I know, but giving it away was so tough.
Anyway, you were saying something, and I got distracted by Vaughn's wonderful message.
I was just saying that the decks are very different. So this deck is actually, as you'll see, we're going to go over all the cards before we start playing. This deck is actually a Charm and Transfiguration deck.
Okay.
Whereas the deck that we played last time was a Charm and Potions deck.
Yeah.
And that deck was really different. That deck was all about trying to literally, like, brew multiple potions and poisons,
right?
And then by playing them, and using actions, you're like dealing them damage. This deck is completely different.
Yeah,
it's about getting as many useless items in play as possible.
So I'm gonna have lots of books on the.
And then you're playing practical joke to kill them.
Oh, hilarious!
Yes.
All right.
So start going through all the cards.
Okay. So we have Rope Bind, and there's 1, 2, 3 copies of that. Bewitched Snowballs, 4 copies of that.
Yep.
So here's that practical joke card you were referencing.
Yeah, that's
so
the win. That's the win condition.
3, 4. So this is our win condition. Count the number of items in play. Yours and your opponent's do that much damage to your opponent. All right. Interesting. So yes, we got that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11
There's
charms
11,
lessons.
There's 11 of each lesson type.
Okay, perfect. And
11 charms and 11 Transfiguration lessons.
Okay. Then Gringotts Vault Key, and there's 4 copies of that.
And I'm assuming that's the grab the win con. Like, once you have a bunch of items, like, you go search your deck for the practical joke
because you can get any card. Right, yeah, you can get any card. That makes sense. 1 copy of Dobby's Disappearance. I think that's restricted. Is that why?
It's restricted, yeah.
Transfiguration Test.
There was actually 4 copies when he sent me the deck list, and I was like, oh, it's restricted in Revival. So he replaced them with the Transfiguration Test, 3 copies.
Ah, okay, got it. Then there's Picking on Neville, 4 copies. Spellotape, which is one of the Heir of Slytherin cards, 2 copies of that. Old Sock, which is another Heir Slytherin card. Broken Wand. Sorry, there was 4 copies of Old Sock.
Yeah, 4 copies of Old Sock, 2 copies of Spellotape.
Correct. 1 copy of Broken Wand, and here's the books. So 4 copies of Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration, and 4 copies of the Standard Book of Spells. That is my whole deck.
Galdwin, our proxies are nothing but highly printed pieces of paper in front of a card. It is nothing special.
Yeah, it's even text, like it's like 70-pound paper. It's very thin paper.
Yeah,
actually.
it's nothing special. It is just the cheapest and most efficient way for us to keep doing these streams with real cards.
Yep, because I do it at work.
Yep. Otherwise, it would be kind of expensive just going through all the ink printing, all this stuff.
For sure.
So we really wouldn't be able to do the streams without it. All right, so whoops. Seamus Finnigan, starting wizard here. So this deck, probably some of you know what this deck is, but I'm gonna go over the 2 cards that make this deck sing and explain it because I don't know how many people have played against it. So right now, the Burrows is apparently a hot card. So this is part of a 2-card combo. And what the Burrow says is before each player's turn, if that player has fewer than 4 cards in their hand, that player draws cards until he or she has 4 cards. So if you have less than 4 cards on your turn,
you have to draw up to 4.
You have to draw up to 4.
Okay.
The combo is Snuffling Potion.
Okay.
So this card says, next turn, whenever your opponent draws a card, he or she discards it instead of putting it into his or her hand. So what this does is, if you have less than 4 cards, and the Burrows is in play, you're going to have to draw a card until you get to 4 cards. But Snuffling Potion says, when you would draw, you discard it instead.
So you never actually have them in your hand, essentially?
So what's going to happen is you're just going to draw, discard your whole deck infinitely and die.
Right.
It's just going to mill your whole deck in one turn with this 2-card combo.
Right. Okay.
So you obviously don't want to have a low hand count when someone drops the Burrows on you.
Sure.
You got to keep your hand up high because if you get below 4 cards at the start of your turn and they play the Snuffling Potion on you, you're going to die.
Got it. Okay. Interesting. So what's in the rest of his deck?
Oh, so Seamus is actually pronounced Seamus?
Oh, maybe because he's super Scottish? Is that the Scottish
Seamus.
way of pronouncing it?
Apparently, maybe.
All right. Well, there you go.
I've been pronouncing his name wrong for a while.
So I.
Yeah, Snuffling Potion, next turn, whenever
Scottish,
your
Irish.
opponent draws a card, he or she discards it instead of putting it into her hand.
Right.
So it's like you're drawing a card because of this,
Right.
and then discarding it. You don't have 4 cards, so then you
Right.
have to do it again,
Right.
discard it, and you just boom,
Yeah,
boom.
it's just a loop. Yeah.
It's a loop that your hand's just dead.
Correct.
So
Okay.
there are 4 copies of
Each, I'm sure.
each of these in the deck because this is the combo. And I have no clue how the rest of this deck works, but it looks like very controlling with creatures, and so it looks like this is a control deck, and this is the combo that wins.
Okay.
So it's not. I don't know if it's. It's kind of like a combo deck in Magic where you're like trying to assemble 2 cards to win.
But there, you have to kind of. It's situational. You have to position it to get to that
Yeah,
point.
like if you play the Burrows and your opponent has more than 5 cards in their hand and you can't even play your Snuffling, it won't do anything.
Right. Correct.
Because you're never going to have that. You have to be less than 4. So.
Correct.
So I'm assuming that's what all these cards are for. So locked in. We got 3 copies of this adventure card. 3 copies of Escaping the Dursleys. Now, this is one of the cards that'll help you win. This is Memory Charm. Your opponent chooses one card in his or her hand and discards it. So I'm assuming you're going to play this to get them below
the threshold.
Below the threshold.
Sure.
And then you play their Snuffling Potion. If they're below 4 at the start of the turn, they're dead.
Correct.
They're not even going to get a chance to do anything.
Yep.
So there's 4 copies of that Memory Charm. And then here's where the whole... This is interesting. I'm going to see how this deck plays out because I feel like this deck's doing 2 different things. On one hand, the deck is using this as a kill condition, this combo, and it's got these discard effects and adventures that seems to support it. But then the rest of the deck is kind of like the character control element. Mm-hmm. So you've got 4 of Lockhart's potions, or 3 of Lockhart's potions. Lockhart's hair potions, so you can play all these characters
multiple times for...
Well, it's so you can play them less. It only costs 1 action.
Oh, it's that one.
It's that card.
Oh, okay.
So we have Colin Creevey. There are 4 copies of him in the deck. 3 copies of Peeves. 3 copies of Snape. And Patronus got these cool proxies from somewhere. I don't know where she got these from.
I think I found them just stumbling around on the Dark Mark website.
Oh, okay. 2 McGonagall. Yeah, I love having cards that look like that are non-holo because the holo cards are so hard for me to read and see. I'm just not a fan of them. I know people love them, but personally, as a player, I just want it to be easy. So 2 copies of this McGonagall. And 2 copies of Hannah Abbott. 2 copies of Marcus Flint. 1 copy of Madam Pomfrey, because I think she's just like the standard, like, good, put 1 of in your deck, because it works in any deck.
Yeah, and it's just a big heal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I was excited I got one of these on eBay today for like $2.
I noticed.
You get eBay notifications?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I can't spend money because Patronus notices, even if it's in small amounts. Busted.
Yeah, busted big time. Then I saw the dollar amount. I was like, all right, whatever.
I was going to say, it was like $1. So, and I like the Draco deck, so I wanted to have it.
I figured. I put 2 and 2 together. I figured it out.
So there's actually, I apologize, we were chatting so much. I got 4 copies of the Self-Stirring Cauldron. And then 6 Charm Lessons. And 12 Potion Lessons.
All right.
And that's the whole deck. The only thing actually we both kind of forgot to go over is the sideboard, which we'll just go over that right before we sideboard.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So we're going to shuffle up these piles.
Mm-hmm. So like normal, I will still post these deck lists in the description of the YouTube post at youtube.com/homebasegames.
And we are going to work on figuring out how we can... We're going to investigate this. We were told that like you can get a bot on your Twitch channel that when a viewer logs into the Twitch channel, we could automatically send that person a chat link to the deck list. So we're going to see if we can figure that out. We've never done it before.
Yeah, I just want to make sure
we just want to make sure that the stream's good, but we also don't want it full of ads and things.
Yes,
so
exactly. That's my bigger
figure
concern.
It out.
Typically, free software means lots of BS ads. So I need to dig into that a little bit more.
Yeah, Vaughn, I was so happy to find these non-holo arts for some of these cards. I'm actually, if I can find enough non-holo arts, I think I will just get like professional proxies made of some of the holos so I could just play with non-holo cards.
Yeah, the ones I found on the Dark Mark website are decent quality, relatively speaking.
Yeah, they're really good.
They're not as good as the Era Slytherin cards. Like those
the high res
ones are
for sure.
Far better, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, that would be like kind of a nice wish, is just being able to have like high res proxies of some of those holo cards that.
Yeah. Well, I know that the one thing that the revival community is going to do, because especially with the cards getting just astronomically expensive because of all the collectors and buyers that it is they're going to release some amount of high resolution images for proxy cards.
Okay.
And they're not going to look identical to the same cards. There'll probably be some kind of difference on them.
They shouldn't.
Just so people can't just make counterfeits.
Right, exactly.
But when that happens, I'll be all about proxying some cool stuff. For sure. Especially, at least all the cards that are hollow, because they're just so hard for me to even see.
Agreed.
Maybe I'm just getting old.
All right.
All right, so let's shuffle up these piles.
What are we rolling for tonight?
I'm gonna roll for some money, some galleons. Ooh.
2.
Okay. 2's pretty good. It's hard to beat 2.
I didn't even get it on the weighted die.
3.
Oh, fine.
Money, 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 money. Yeah, buddy. All right, I'm going first.
Okay, well...
Even though I'm Captain Can't Roll, I still roll better than Patronus.
Yeah, you're Captain Can't Roll except against me. Like, more often than not. That's how it goes. All right, I've got lessons. I've got a couple of things to play, so I guess we'll just roll with it. It could get worse.
Goldwyn, I'm not exactly sure what the revival community is going to do for the proxies. I just know that they're in the works and they're coming, which is great because I think having proxies will definitely be helpful to the people who just really want to play the game and don't want to invest thousands of dollars into cards.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I love you guys, Harry Potter, but I mean, I'm not spending $200 and more on a single card. I don't care what foil league it is.
More accurately, I will not allow it.
Yeah. I'm just so mad that we didn't clear out Gen Con the number of times Harry Potter was just sitting on all those discount warehouse tables.
Yeah.
Like, remember,
we did do it once.
We did it one year,
yeah.
And that was the year that we kind of got into it. We bought a bunch of boxes,
yeah.
And that's kind of how we got half of our collection.
Yep.
But like, I remember like haggling with the dude on COS box. He wanted like $40 for it. And I'm like, $40 for Harry Potter? No one plays this game.
Right, exactly.
You know? Because, like, when this game came out, all of our friends were playing Magic. And, like, literally, we couldn't get anybody to try this game. Like, I remember we cleared out a vendor for Harry Potter base boosters at Gen Con in Milwaukee. And we were picking up the boxes for $20.
Wow.
$20. And we were just like drafting and learning how to play, and that's kind of when I got introduced to it. But then no one played anymore, and the guy that bought all the cards ended up selling them all for like nothing. So it was painful.
C'est la vie.
Yep.
It's where you wish you had a time machine.
Yeah, we were just watching Back to the Future the other night, and I was like, man, he goes and gets that sports almanac. I'd go back in time and just buy up all the dead card games that I really want.
Or just go back and that time you were at Gen Con and the guy offered to sell you one of each box for $25.
Oh my God. Just put salt in the wound. Yeah, I was 12 years old. I was at Gen Con for the first time, 12 years old, on a Saturday. And Magic had just been introduced to Gen Con for sale, beta Magic cards. And they sold out the first day on a Friday. And I went there on a Saturday, and there was guys selling like singles. And there were some vendors that were selling packs for like $5. Mm-hmm. And this guy offered to sell me a set of Moxes, one of each, 5-color Moxes. If you don't know what they are, Google it.
Yeah, go Google it now. Beta Mox.
Beta Mox. And look at the price,
Yeah.
and you'll lose your skull.
Yeah.
And $5 a piece, $25. And my dad was like, I'm not paying $25 for 5 cards.
Right.
I will buy you 5 packs,
Right.
but I will not buy you 5 cards.
Yep.
So I did get 5 packs. I ended up opening a Time Walk in my pack. And then I traded it to some other kid for a Force of Nature. Oh boy. I still have that beta force of nature, by the way. So the pain is still there. It's real.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
where you go back in time and correct that mistake.
Yeah.
That's your sports almanac.
You just got to be
sure.
careful not to run into my younger self.
Yep.
All right. Let's get on with this match. Enough with the gabbing. $25 for all 5 boxes. $5 a piece.
Yep.
All right. Well, this is an interesting hand. I don't know how this deck plays. But maybe I want to do this. This is interesting. Well, and what does Seamus do? Seamus. Oh, Seamus. Got it. All right. Once during each of your turns, you may discard 2 cards from your hand to get 1 more action. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep, because I could mulligan into a worse hand.
Yeah.
And we'll see how this goes.
All right.
So I'm just going to lessen. Oh, actually, I'm going to draw a card.
Yep, there is that.
And then I'm going to lessen. And lessen.
All right.
And I'm done.
Draw. Similar story. Actually, before I do that, because Draco, I get an extra action when I play an item, right? So,
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll do that, and then we'll play an Old Sock, which lets me draw a card.
Yep.
And second lesson.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
Yep.
All right. Draw.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to play a lesson. And play another lesson.
All right.
And I'm done.
Draw. I am doing the lesson thing this time. No extra action for me. Go ahead. Go leader.
Sorry.
Stop
Reading
looking
chat.
at your phone.
All right. Drawing.
Yep.
All right. Let's play Escaping the Dursleys.
Okay. Can't use actions to play cards except lessons. To solve this, they have to discard their hand. All right. Well then. So do I have a chance before I draw a card to solve this adventure? Do you know what the timing is on that? Like, is there the equivalent of an upkeep phase in this game where you could solve an adventure before you draw a card? I don't know the rulings on that.
That's a great question. I don't know when the ruling is, or when you can actually
Like when the windows are?
solve an adventure, but I would think it would be after you draw a card.
Okay.
But I really don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
play
you
it that
still
way.
draw a card for your turn.
No, I know. I'm just wondering if I can choose to discard my hand before I would draw a card for my turn.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you don't lose that
So
card.
I don't lose that card.
Yeah,
I just don't know. We'll play it that I have to draw a card. I just don't know what the rule is. I wasn't sure if you knew. So I will draw a card.
Yep.
And I will
Oh,
ditch
so
my
that's how they get your
hand.
hand.
Right.
They play this, and then they go Burrow thing, win.
Right.
Right.
100%. But that's why I'm just trying to solve it right off the bat.
Yep.
So ditching my hand to solve this.
Yep.
Your opponent searches his or her deck for any card, puts it into his or her hand, and then shuffles their deck as a reward. Okay. I can go look for any card.
Oh, so what you would do is, if you were worried about losing to this thing, maybe you would get, because you've played 1 card, right?
I played 0 cards.
Oh, right, you haven't played any yet.
I have played 0 cards. So
you can search for what?
I can search for any card, it said.
Yeah, okay.
So
Search for a book.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Is there a book that lets me draw 3 cards?
Yeah.
There is. So we'll do that.
You search for a book.
So we search for a book. We play the book as my first action, which is going to give me a bonus action.
Yeah, so we can...
I will...
So you still have 2.
Yeah, so I will sack it.
Yep.
To draw 3.
Mm-hmm.
As an action. 1, 2, 3. And then just draw a card as my last action.
Yep, that makes sense.
And that protects me.
But as long as I don't have a card to discard.
Correct.
Yep. All right. So my turn.
Yes.
Draw. All right. We're going to play a lesson.
Ah, perfect. The Harry Potter TCG group jumped in. So the rule is with those, you do have to draw the card, but then you can solve before the creatures do damage. So the first thing you do on your turn is draw a card, then creatures do damage, and then, like, my creatures would deal damage.
Okay,
so like before my creatures would deal damage, there's a window after I draw a card to choose to solve an adventure.
So you could just do it after you draw a card,
correct.
Essentially.
Yeah,
but you're still stuck in that scenario.
Correct.
Okay.
But like the reason I cared, obviously, is because I wanted to have as many cards in my hand so I couldn't just lose to you.
Yeah, but you can only solve after you draw a card, and that's what I thought.
That makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Okay.
I just wasn't sure.
So I played
I
played an action to play a lesson. Okay. And let's play a Lockhart's Hair Care potion.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm done.
Okay.
Lesson potion.
Ah, okay. Draw. Let's play a lesson and draw a card.
I feel like I'm gonna badly play this deck. All right. Let's play a copy of the Burrow. So this is part of the combo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna play 1 copy of that. And then we'll use an action to draw, I guess?
Okay.
Yeah.
Draw. We will play Dobby's Disappearance on the Burrow.
Okay.
So bounce it, and I still get an extra action.
Yep.
Then we'll play an Old Sock, which will net me an action because of Draco. Draw a card. Then I will draw a card. And play a lesson.
All right. Draw.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to play 2 lessons and pass the turn.
Okay. Draw. Draw. Wow. Okay. Lesson.
All right.
Go ahead.
Draw. Okay, what does this do? Ah, okay.
Think take over there, huh?
I think I can just kill you now.
Okay.
So I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Because I think that's how this deck works. So once during my turn, I can discard 2 of my cards from my hand to gain an action.
Correct.
So I should be able to discard a memory charm. Actually, discard. And it's discard both memory charms.
Sure.
So I get an extra action.
Yep.
So I'll have
so 3.
I have 3 actions. And then I think I can just spend an action to play the Burrows.
Yep.
I can spend an action, play Peeves.
Sure.
And then
use them.
Spend an action to play Snuffling Potion.
Okay.
And then Peeves is not an action. He's a once per game effect.
Right.
Which says once per game, you may discard your hand, then draw 7 cards to make your opponent discard his/her hand and then draw 7 cards.
But I guess how does the Snuffling Potion work with that?
Actually, I don't know.
Because that says
I might have played it wrong.
Next turn, whenever your opponent draws a card. So it's not this turn, it's next turn.
Oh, right. Okay. So I don't think well, I did it. We'll see how it goes. I did it.
So I'm dishing my
discarding
hand
and drawing 7.
7. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
Okay, now it's your turn.
All right. So draw, and then this has to just go to my discard deck.
Yep,
right?
essentially.
That's the way that works. Okay.
Because of Snuffling Potion. Yeah.
Yep, and I have more than 4 cards, so
Yep.
I didn't have to draw any more than that.
Yep.
Okay. So let's play a standard book of spells. Will net me another action.
Yep, we figured it out. Snuffling Potion and Peeves definitely does not work.
Yeah. Then I will play Bewitched Snowballs to deal you 3 damage, and I draw a card.
Okay.
And let's just do Gringotts to go and look for something.
Okay.
I don't know that I have anything to make you discard locations. I don't know that I have anything that destroys objects either, or destroys items either. So
I don't think so.
I'll probably just grab an item and
I think you just need to kind of do your thing.
Yep. Go ahead.
Are you out of actions?
Yes.
Okay. So I draw. And I guess I just play this adventure card. Locked in.
Okay. Your opponent gets 1 pure action on each of his or her turns. No. I still get 1. To solve, your opponent chooses 4 cards in their hand and discards them. And then I can draw 2 cards. Okay?
Yeah.
So fine.
That's 2 actions.
I think I'm just gonna grab another spell book with my Gringotts thing anyway. All right. So I only have 1 action.
Yeah, it just says you get 1 fewer, so
right.
You'll be at 2 actions instead of 3 with if you keep playing an item every turn.
Right.
Not that big of a deal. You can
no.
just play around it the whole game, which might actually be. It might have been a fail for me to even play this card.
So draw.
I will be doing this deck complete disservice because I don't know how to play it. It's probably way stronger than I'm playing it.
I will. So I have 1 action. So I'll play an old sock.
Yep.
Get an action back. Draw a card. And then I'm actually just going to discard 4 lessons to solve that adventure.
Okay. So to solve, you discard 4 lessons. Your opponent may draw 2 cards, which you definitely want to.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
And that's all I got.
So draw. And boy. I'm going to play Self-Stirring Cauldron.
Sure.
Discarding 2 potion lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I get an additional action.
Okay.
So my action will be to... Guess we'll just play 2 more potions.
Okay.
And done.
Draw. I will play Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration, net an action. I will...
Yeah, I don't think she has any locations in that deck.
Play Practical Joke, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Deal 5.
Okay.
And that's all Oh, hang on. I gotta start counting my actions.
You only have 2.
No.
Oh, no, you have 3.
So I think I have one more action. Because I played this, netted 1, played this.
Use the dice.
Yeah, I think I have one more. So I'm going to just draw a card.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna discard this card and this card to Seamus.
Okay.
To get an additional action, so I have 3.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna use 1 to draw a card.
Okay.
I'm gonna use another, draw a card.
Sure.
And just draw a card.
Okay.
Done.
Yeah. I will play a standard book of spells.
Okay.
So 2 more actions. I will play Practical Joke. So this time it's for 6.
Okay.
And then I will obviously 2 of these in here. Is there a third? Okay. So I'm at 4 cards right now, which just feels slightly risky. So I'm just going to discard 1 of these to draw 3.
Yeah. This is definitely a Practical Joke deck. Are you done?
Yes.
All right. All right, I think that's what I needed. So let's try this again. We will just simply play Memory Charm for 9.
Okay, which is...
Your opponent chooses 1 card in his or her hand and then discards the rest.
Sure.
And then I just play Snuffling Potion.
Yep.
And I think I just win.
That does it.
I think that's what does it.
Yep.
I wasn't supposed to discard those Snuffling Potions early on.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, that'll do it for sure.
Right,
because now I have 1 card.
And there's nothing you can
And
do,
there's
right?
nothing I
Because it's
can
like
do.
as soon as you draw, this goes off.
Correct.
And if we're wrong, tell us, but I think that's it.
Yes. Vaughn. Draco's such a prankster. Like when he tried to murder Dumbledore. What a kidder. Oh, that's hilarious. All right, so I'm pretty sure that's exactly how that works because now I have 1 card in my hand. Snuffling Box says anytime I would draw, I have to put it in my discard pile, and this says I need to draw up to 4 cards.
Right, so you're going to draw, discard, draw, discard, draw
Correct.
infinitely, and you're dead. I think that's it.
I think
I finally played it right.
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, you had the memory potion. Otherwise, That's why I ditched one of these books to draw a bunch of cards because I was at 4, so I didn't want to just walk into it.
Right.
But you had the memory potion to just make me lose my whole hand.
Right.
So they love you.
Yep.
That's how that works. Okay,
right, so let's talk about sideboards.
Yeah, I'll just kind of flash through what's in my sideboard really quick. So Riding the Centaur, just 2 copies of that. Sorry,
so
that's
that
still
card,
just a piece of paper right now.
That card is actually a card that is really good against creatures, I believe.
Prevent all damage done to you by your opponent's creatures. Yes, seems fine.
So
for that situation, yes.
that card you're sideboarding in for obviously like a McGonagall creature heavy.
Yeah, creature heavy decks. Through the Arch, 2 copies of that. Your opponent cannot play spell cards.
Now that card seems really good because the Snuffling Potion and the Memory Charm are how I win.
Right, that's fair. There's actually 4 copies of Riding the Centaur. We just happen to have 2 real copies that were just out of order in here. All right, then Argus Filch, 1 copy of that. May use an action to discard an adventure from play. That's okay.
That's good. My adventures that make you discard cards. That would be a good card to get in.
Yeah, potentially, but it's just a one of.
I mean that seems.
Pep Talk. The first action your opponent uses in each of his or her turns must be to draw a card. Your opponent shows you a card with printed power 8 or more, which we know that you do have those, and there's 3 of those.
Yeah. So the only cards I would think would be sideboarding in through the Arch and Argus Filch. Otherwise, I don't think anything else would be really relevant in that deck.
So the question is also, what do I not want?
Right.
Which I honestly don't know if there's any. I guess. Spellotape is kind of just okay.
It's an item, though, so that's why it's there.
Well, all of my cards are items.
Well, that's not true. You have Bewitched Snowballs. And
right, but that also still draws me a card.
Right.
Which is just protection against me, like, playing through my whole hand.
What does Spellotape actually do?
It just says anytime your opponent makes you discard an item, you can discard this instead.
I would get rid of things like you have picking on Neville, which is good. That gets rid of my Burrow and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Transfiguration Test is horrible.
Oh yeah. What does this card do?
Pretty much nothing.
Creatures. There you go. Yeah. I have no
pretty
creatures.
Much nothing.
So there you go. That's the perfect card to sideboard
out. So we're gonna
out.
take that out.
So just put those pieces of paper over.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
There you go.
You guys remind me what I put in here.
And while she's doing that,
yeah,
I'll go over.
I did remember I had like literally a hand of these stupid Transfiguration Test cards. I was like, these are doing nothing.
My sideboard has 4 copies of Riding the Centaur. Apparently, it's an incredibly popular sideboard card.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's a
like creatures are very strong just in general in this game.
Yep. This deck does not want to deal with creatures because it also has Squirrel, which gets rid of creatures. So this sideboard card, so like half of this person's sideboard will not do anything. And then the only other sideboard card is we got the Leaky Cauldron, which whenever either player plays a character, he or she uses up to 1. So that is just another.
It's another way of playing characters cheaper. Which it looks like most of his sideboard is characters. So I think the idea is.
I think it might be too, because if you're playing against a deck, because he's got the Lockhart potions,
right,
which are items that are a little easier to get rid of than locations.
Yeah.
So
I actually should have been dealing you more damage with the practical jokes because your item counted
my
too.
items counted too.
But it wouldn't have made a difference.
I don't think I was even close.
No, you only have 1 item, so it wasn't. It was like
it was 1 extra item.
But yes.
Yep.
Noting.
So actually, don't think there's anything to sideboard in this deck.
Okay.
I mean, I could put in these locations.
It's just more ways to make it easier to play characters. I don't know how important it is to play characters for you.
Yeah, and I don't.
In this matchup.
Let's see. I guess let's look through my deck and see if there's any just cards that are completely dead in this match.
That's fair, yeah. That is a way that I a lot of times think. If I'm not really sure that there's anything worth sideboarding, a lot of times I'll just go back to my deck and see if there's anything that I felt like did not serve a very good function.
I mean, I'm sure these cauldrons are in here just to get to the 9 resources required for the memory charm. Yeah. McGonagall, once per game, you may discard the adventure your opponent has played. So you just put adventures in your deck. I wouldn't necessarily know that though. No. So that might be a consideration. Because I'm going to sideboard as if I didn't know what she was putting
Correct. And I didn't have any adventures that you... I don't think this had any adventures originally.
Right, exactly. So I would think that would be a natural thing for me to be like, why would I play that?
Right, exactly.
So yeah, maybe I'll just... let's double check.
Yeah, no. No other adventures.
Yeah, I'm just going to sideboard out those 2 cards.
So he was saying the only thing that's with this is you can only have 1 location in play at a time, so you can't play that and the Burrows.
Yep.
But
yeah, so I'm not sure why you would even put this in the deck then, but I don't know. Can you replace your own location?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Yeah. I mean, it has to be.
I don't know.
Because I can play a new location and it changes the location.
Well, in Star Wars TCG, I can't replace my own location, I don't think.
Really?
I don't think so. I don't think you replace your
I mean,
own.
I guess locations are usually a good effect, so you probably wouldn't want to.
Yeah, like I've never replaced my own location in Star Wars TCG ever.
Yeah.
Maybe you can. I don't even know if you can.
Right, exactly. But I don't know why you would.
That sounds like a terrible thing to do.
Yeah, 100%. So I can't see why you
They're
wouldn't
so
be able
precious.
to.
You only have like usually between 4 and 6 in a deck.
Yeah, exactly. And they usually have a very good function for you.
Well, they're lopsided. They only function for you 99% of the time.
Well, yes, but I'm also like outside of that, they also usually serve a purpose that's helpful for your deck.
Yeah, I think if we when we finally get to doing real person tournaments that we're running as home-based games for Star Wars TCG, I'm gonna errata Cloud City Battlegrounds. It's gonna make people so mad.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. I'm gonna make it.
Make it for both.
Yes, because it's a battleground. It should be for both. It would make the card more balanced.
It would, but yes, you're gonna piss a lot of people off when you do that.
Leaky Cauldron conflicts with the Burrows, sure does, but in my head, McGonagall does nothing, so that's why I took her out.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay. I have lessons. I have cards. I think we'll be okay.
I think a good player might be able to like, oh, maybe they're going to sideboard in some adventures and then we'd keep the McGonagall in, but that's a good player. I'm pretending like I don't know what she put in her deck.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what I would naturally do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when you see someone not play a card type, you
and you're like, why do I have this?
Why would I? This was completely dead.
Yeah, the McGonagall seems oddly
for.
placed as other than just a control card to deal with other people's adventures.
Well, and as we know, sometimes adventures are really backbreaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, makes sense to have a one-of answer.
Oh, they have 2 of them in the main deck.
Oh, okay.
2 McGonagalls. So I sideboarded them both out. Then we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Good? Or do you need to mulligan?
No, I'm good. You can go.
Okay. Draw. Lesson. No 1-drops.
All right, I'm going to draw.
Yeah. No old socks.
Potions and charms.
Okay.
Done.
Draw. So we will play Beginner's Guide to Transfiguration, which will net me in action.
How badly do you think it burns people who collect this game and love foils that there isn't foil lessons? Like, Wizards of the Coast, what were you doing? How did you not make foil lessons?
I know you're all about foily things, but
it just doesn't
I don't
make any
really
sense.
care.
It's part of the reason I don't care about the foils, because I can't get it's impossible to have a full foil deck.
I see. That's part of it.
Burns it into me.
I see.
Sorry, that's just a minor rant.
Let's go with lesson and draw.
Okay. And let's just go lesson. So weird playing 2 non-linear decks.
Draw.
Or 2 completely linear decks.
Yeah. let's play Spellotape, which is going to net me a lesson or an action.
Yep.
Then.
And all this thing does is protect your other items.
Correct.
Yeah.
From your card effects. Like if I chose to sack this, it doesn't.
You know, if I was playing this deck, I think this would be in my sideboard, and I would have like a photo album in its place. Because photo album, like this deck wants to amass items.
Yeah.
It doesn't care what items are in play. It just wants a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so you kind of want to refill your hand because you're playing and deploying items.
Yeah.
So like being able to take use of a card like photo album and putting this in your sideboard in case you go up against a heavy item destruction.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know what key items this deck would be really concerned
None.
about losing.
The only items in my deck are books, Spellotape, and old socks.
Yeah, so I think
none.
you would rather have a thing that drew you more cards.
Yeah, maybe.
Because like the books are good, but you have to sack them to get the 3 cards.
Correct. I'm just gonna do
3.
3, and I draw.
I do like the element of burn in the deck with the Bewitched Snowballs and the because like when you're one of the weaknesses to the potion deck was like a simple like 1 or 2 creatures can kill you if you're behind, but just having that single target removal is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Agreed. All right, I'm done. I used all my actions. You set off an angry rant.
Oh man, I love seeing the trigger. See, I'm
So
triggered too. It makes no sense why there aren't foil lessons.
Yeah. Yeah, so the TCG guys say there were 2 lessons in each pack. Just make 1 in 5 packs have a foil lesson. All caps.
It makes 0 sense.
Oh,
Ugh.
it's just funny.
All right. You would think they would. You would think that they would have made a foil one by accident, knowing Wizards of the Coast.
Well, they did print the wrong backs at one point. So.
Yeah, there's a guy in Italy that I follow on the Magic collecting. He is really big into like misprints, and he's got a bunch of Magic the Gathering cards with Harry Potter backs.
Yeah, with the TCG backs.
With this card game back.
Yeah, printed by the same company, evidently.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
All right, done?
Yeah, it's been your turn.
What am I doing? I'm not doing a lot here. I think I'm just playing Peeves.
Sure.
And I'm done.
Draw.
So that's 2 actions.
It is right now. Yeah. I will draw a card. I will play a lesson and play Bewitching Snowballs again. So another 3 damage.
Oh man.
Draw.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Could have used that Lockhart's hair here. All right. Guess we're going to play an action. And we're going to play a lesson, I'm sorry. And we're going to play a copy of the Burrows.
Sure.
And we're going to use Peeves for a Wheel of Fortune. We're going to discard my whole hand and draw 7 new cards.
Okay.
Both of us.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
That turned out okay. I was nervous about that.
And then I'm done. There was 2 actions.
You are done. Draw. We're going to play Standard Book of Spells to net me an extra action. And then we're going to play Through the Arch. Cannot play spell cards. You have to discard. I'm sorry, you have to skip 4 actions in order to solve it.
I can't place what? Spells?
Spells.
Well, ain't that some crap?
That was in my hand before you made me wheel, and I was like, oh no, that was going to be my answer. Whenever you played the Burrow, I was going to play Through the Arch, so that way I could, like, you can't play the spell.
All right, so how do I beat this thing?
Skip 4 actions.
4 actions? That's 2 turns?
Yep.
Oh boy, all right. Draw. And skip 2 actions.
Okay.
Go.
Draw. Let's.
I really do love Force of Nature too, by the way. And I remember thinking, man, I was a kid, an 8/8
an
trample.
8/8 trample guy. I mean, yeah, it seems.
How
great.
is this like is better? How is taking an extra turn like better?
Yeah,
I did not understand.
Yeah.
Rope
bind, 2
Take
damage, and I draw a card.
Bang. All right.
And man.
Yeah, see, this deck just needs more items.
Yeah. I'm just
The
slightly
struggle's real
flooded at the moment
on
too.
items, yeah.
And I'm kind of on a big clock. I only have 1 action left, so even sacking to draw a bunch of cards isn't super helpful. So I guess I'm just gonna do a practical joke for 3.
Okay. 1, 2, yeah, I have no items.
Correct. And those are my 2 actions.
All right. Drawing. Skipping 2.
Yep. So then your opponent may put an item card from his or her discard pile into their hand.
Huh. All right. Well, the only item I got is my hair care potions.
Sure.
So I'll take that.
Okay. So another standard book of spells.
Okay. Oh, good call.
Huh?
I could use my. I could have used this to get more actions.
Oh, true. Yeah, if you had a bunch of cards.
And I could have got rid of that thing.
A turn early.
Yep.
Potentially. Well, not a turn early.
Not a turn earlier, because the most I could get is 3 actions.
But you could have still played something.
But I could have had another action this turn.
Yeah, you could have played something.
Yep.
Besides the spell.
Yep.
All right. I'm just going to do another practical joke, but it's 4 now because I played everything.
Yep. Okay.
And lesson.
All right. Draw.
Yep.
What do we got? What do we got? We are going to I mean, this hair care potion is not going to help me, I don't think. So we're going to discard the hair care potion and a second copy of Peeves to take an extra action.
Sure.
So I have 3. We will play a charm lesson.
Okay.
And then I think we're just going to go lesson.
Okay.
So 3 actions. Done.
Draw. Play a book of spells. Will net me an action.
Yep.
Actually going to sack it to draw 3. And so you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
I have 8.
All right.
I think you figured out what I'm trying to do.
Yes. Problem is I can't stop you. I will
start burning the damage.
I don't have any.
Yeah.
So that's my problem. I'll play a sack.
Draw a card. Yeah.
Play Spellotape.
Okay.
Go.
Right. Draw. And just draw.
This is not what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah. Let's
Maybe I shouldn't have
discard these 2 to get another action to draw. That's it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I guess I misplayed.
I don't think you misplayed. I just think you didn't know that I didn't have
We're gonna just play land memory charm.
I was bluffing.
Yeah.
That I didn't have the I didn't have the 9th lesson.
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of the game. You got to bluff.
Yeah, and we all know I'm horrible at bluffing, and I'm horrible at reading people.
We're happy to have everyone here who's live. I mean, honestly, that's the best part of me playing.
For sure.
Okay, wand.
Playing a wand.
Why does no one play that card?
Which gets
that card
me
seems good.
An extra.
I never see that card played, but like just get to. Yeah, that seems
resources,
good.
Yeah. Let's sack one of these.
It's a good ramp spell, it seems like.
For 3 cards.
Okay.
Oh, that was good. Okay. I'll accept your pride, but this at least buys me a little more time. Well, picking on Neville the Burrow.
Ooh.
So you can choose to sacrifice 2 other cards, or.
Okay.
Is it sacrifice or is it bounce? Yeah, it's a discard.
Let's do a Burrow count. Oh, there's only 1 left in my whole deck if I lose this one. All right. Well, that will slow me down a little bit. And both my Hannah Abbotts are in my discard pile, so it won't be easy to get back. It's kind of annoying.
Ah, there it goes. Okay.
All right.
Sorry guys, I just realized that we switched to a green filter, and apparently I did not disable the red filter, so like it was filtering out both colors.
I was wondering why it was wrong. I was wondering why it was wrong.
I just noticed it. Sorry about that, guys. I just disabled the red filter, so now it's just the green. Okay.
Well, that's awesome.
Oh,
woke up in the middle of the night.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's super cool. All right, so
we appreciate you being here.
Oh wait, hold on. I can get rid of Peeves.
Right.
Just one of my cards.
Yes, you can.
And a lesson.
Okay,
yeah.
That's fine.
Keep my Burrow.
Yep. Go ahead.
All right. Draw. Oh man, you are $1 late and a day short. Well, let's just play 2 lessons.
Okay. So what do you want?
So we are at 9.
You're at 9. Okay.
And I'm done.
Okay. Draw a card. Standard Book of Spells. Net me in action. Let's ditch 1 to draw 3.
Wait, what? You can't discard Peeves since you used it? That's a rule?
No. Really?
Wait a minute. So picking on Neville says I can't discard it because I used it? Hold on.
It says choose one of your opponent's cards in play other than their starting character discarded. Your opponent may prevent this by choosing 2 of his or her cards in play other than their starting character and discarding them. I don't know why you couldn't choose to...
So, yeah, is there a rule that we are unaware of? If you use a character, it can't be discarded to an effect? Oh, I can. Okay, yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I was definitely discarding Peeves.
So I'm just doing rope bind, deal you 2 more damage, and draw.
Oh, there's my 4th copy of the Burrows.
Nice.
All right, you done?
Yes.
All right. Well, I think I got you then. So I got the memory charm.
Yep. You want to see my really exciting hand?
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Wow! That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
How many was that? That is
1,
flooding.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10.
10, plus
10
you have
lessons.
6 in play.
Yeah.
So it's 16 of the 22.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's how much deck I have.
Yeah,
left.
then I have the Snuffling Potion.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And then I had the Dobbies. That was what that was the card I chose to keep, quote unquote.
Right.
But,
yeah, but you had all
All lands.
Yeah, that's bad.
All lessons. All right. Well,
I think even though
combo
this
deck wins.
Yeah, this deck is pretty strong, it seems like.
Yeah.
But I also think, too, that I think that deck actually had a lot of potential.
Yeah.
But I just think it just doesn't have enough items.
Yeah.
And it has maybe too many lessons.
Yes. I feel like it, because I was flooding out.
I feel like that deck, because...
You only need 5.
For anything. So I
or
think,
6, I guess. You need to get to 6 for the Gringotts Key.
Yeah.
And that's it. So.
And I don't even know if you need 4 of the Gringotts Keys.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of whatever. But, I mean, especially since you're playing so many books that also give you lessons, like,
yeah,
you do not need
many
lessons.
I think you could go with 18 lessons in that deck.
Yeah, I think so, too.
I think you could cut
because I was a little flooded in both games.
Yeah, because, each of the books count as resources.
Right.
So,
exactly.
I think you could easily go with 18 lessons, maybe even 17.
Yeah.
And then fill the deck with more items.
Yeah. It did feel a little short on items.
Yeah, I would like
enough.
to revamp and revisit that. Same thing with the first deck we played last week.
Yeah.
The
Hermione
Potion Maker deck.
Yeah.
There was a lot of potential there. I bastardly played it. I played it so bad. I didn't.
And there was at least one card mistake.
There was a card mistake. Well, not on us. The person that
Right.
sent it had written down the wrong card.
Correct.
So there was a dead card in the deck.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand the win condition. And I definitely could have won one game if I would have just played the Philosopher's Stone
the right way. Yeah.
I played that first and then reshuffled all my deck. I definitely would have won that one game. But that's all right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think this could have potential as well.
I think that totally
for sure.
has potential. I definitely think there's it has me excited to want to build that deck.
Once we get through this tournament bracket, we might be doing some of our deck tech support pieces and kind of going back
those are popular
with some
videos.
of these submissions and tweaking them a little bit where we found weaknesses. But yeah, no, I mean it was fun. Obviously, like you said, that deck is definitely strong because it's part of the problem, I guess. Not problem, but one of the weaknesses to me of this game is you don't have the opportunity to interrupt what your opponent is doing on their turn and respond.
there's no interaction on your opponent's turn.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides to the game.
To me it's a weakness.
Yeah.
Just because you have no way of responding to a combo like that where you can just do your actions uninterrupted and win.
Yeah, I think a cool way to introduce some of that would be through the revival guys sets, and I could see them making. I think would be interesting would be to make cards that you played face down that had a trigger when your opponent did something, you could reveal it, and then almost like a trap card.
Morph, or a trap.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That would be super interesting.
Yeah.
Playing this face down card.
Right.
And, it does something that would be a very interesting way to add interaction.
I agree.
That is not instant speed on your opponent's turn.
Yeah. Vaughn suggested maybe going into some of the potions items that do damage potentially. Maybe I like the charms element because I like having
the transfig element, you mean the red?
No, I like the charms because it has the things like snowballs and rope bind to deal with creatures targeting creatures.
The charms existed in the charms potions is the standard Draco. What made this one different was adding the red.
Oh, okay.
But I think adding the red was fine.
Because you get the picking on Neville's and...
Yeah, you get removal.
Yeah,
and then you get Practical Joke as your win.
Right,
But exactly. I think if Practical Joke is your main way of winning, you just need to amass more items.
Yeah.
And I think what that deck was just missing was just a lack of items. Sure, Gringotts Key is a nice card to go get your Practical Jokes.
Right.
But, honestly, you don't want to cast... I don't think you have time to play 4 Practical Jokes in a game. So those Gringotts Keys are duplicating. What you want to do is just get Old Sock is great. It's an action. You draw a card.
Right.
It counts as an item. You want more of that kind of stuff in your deck, I think, or items that do use some utility. Unicorn Horn. We get cards back. Maybe even cards even Christmas Feast or is it Christmas Feast? Christmas Feast. It lets you get 4 items from your discard pile.
Yes, it is that.
Like that card would
or maybe
be,
Halloween
that
Feast.
card
It's
might
a feast.
That
I don't
card might
remember
even
which
be
one.
better than the Gringotts Key. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But I think there's a shell here that's playable.
Yeah.
And maybe pretty good but I think it just needs some further testing.
And it honestly, this might be one of those decks where you could actually do 3 color. Because
you have all the books.
You have all the books.
Yeah, you could do 3 colors. Yeah, you could go with potion, all 3 colors and do all the books.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could even throw in a Snape in your deck, like some of the characters if you wanted, like the Professor
Potentially.
Snape. What if Professor Snape ability?
It heals, I think.
It heals, right?
It heals 7, I think.
Yeah, he heals once per game. He heals 7, and he counts as a potion.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think there's definitely something to that practical joke deck, and I'm glad we got to
And I
play
think it's funny that it's a practical joke deck.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
One of the many wonderful things about Harry Potter that is super fun. Speaking of which, we actually over the weekend played. If any of you guys are also Magic players, we found some dueling commander decks that were Harry Potter themed. Harry Potter as a commander and Lord Voldemort as a commander, and we actually just uploaded it today. It was a super fun game. If you're a Magic player that also seems to like Harry Potter, definitely take a watch.
Yeah.
And I made a printable download file of the cards that the guy had made. So check that out if that's of interest to you.
Yeah, I actually just loaded. I just did the social media post on our Facebook page with the links to the video and our website and everything.
Yeah, Bonzai's gonna go watch it after this.
Yep, it was a super fun game.
It was really fun. It was a lot of. I'm definitely gonna pull that out again.
Yeah, we'll definitely play and record it again because I want to rematch. It was fun.
It was super fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. As always, we love watching you in the chat and interacting with you. So thanks so much for being here. We appreciate you, and we're so happy that you spent your magical Monday evening with us.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.